Hi, I'm Rebecca, and welcome to Solve Your Own Problems. In this video, we are going to talk about self-care. Self-care is a really popular topic these days, but what most people don't realize is that they are not doing self-care right. And that doesn't mean that people don't know how to enjoy themselves or participate in relaxation activities, but really they're not getting the benefit from the self-care that they are needing to counteract the distressing things in life. So this is taking away from the quality that they're getting from self-care and creating a need to increase the quantity of self-care. And this can cause a few extra problems in your life that you didn't have before you started participating in excess amounts of low quality self-care. It actually creates a decreased level of tolerance for stress because we think we're having all of this time that we're putting into self-care, but it's not really benefiting us. So our nervous system is still so worked up that over time, the little things that might not have been stressful to us before become more and more stressful. It can be very frustrating to think that you're participating in all of this self-care, but you're still exhausted, you're still burnt out, you're still overwhelmed. So what we're going to talk about is how to maximize the benefit of self-care and utilize it appropriately so that you really get a break for your nervous system, and then you're able to handle a higher level of distress in between times of self-care. So, a huge part of making sure that you're benefiting from your self-care is being actively present and engaged while participating in the self-care technique. So a lot of the times people will consider self-care as just sitting and doing nothing, which can be really beneficial. But if we're dissociating from that moment, if we're scrolling through our phone while we're watching TV, then our brain does not associate that as productive time, and it doesn't fully get the benefit of that self-care. Eventually, what ends up happening is your brain sees all that time that you got to yourself between work and sleeping as a blank space, because you're not really actively making memories or forming those kinds of memories that you need to be present for during that self-care. And then your body doesn't register that as time that you spent on yourself. It registers it as lost time. So then we start to feel like the time that we have to ourselves is so short compared to the time that we spend doing other things that we don't necessarily enjoy. And that is very distressing for you emotionally, mentally. It really increases your burnout with work, increases your irritability level because you're feeling like you don't have enough time for yourself. So the number one thing that I recommend with self-care is that whatever you're doing, even if it is watching a TV show, that you try to stay fully present for that self-care activity. If it's reading a book, that you put your phone down and you read the book for however long you feel like you need to. And it's not something that you've got the book in your lap, but you're scrolling through your phone, or you're bored with the show for a couple of seconds, so you pull your phone up. Basically, that multitasking during self-care activities really keeps your brain from feeling like it fully got that time of self-care. Another thing that I see people do a lot is allowing the stress of the day or worries or anxieties from the day interfere with that self-care time. So if taking a nice long bath is part of your self-care, but you get into that bathtub with all of your worries and anxieties right in there with you, then all you're doing is giving yourself more time to be distressed by those worries, to replay conversations in your head that were frustrating for the day. So that self-care technique of taking a long bath is no longer something that your brain and your body considers a relaxing activity, because you brought all of those worries and anxieties with you into the activity. So even though you know you enjoy taking a bath, you didn't really get the benefit of that time in the bath because your brain was working in overdrive, feeling distress, recreating distressing emotions from the day by overthinking all of the things that happened. And you're actually creating a whole nother layer of stress that's completely unnecessary. Now, I know overthinking is something that is really difficult to overcome. I'm not saying you have to stop overthinking all the way. I'll probably make a video about that to help with those issues, but try really hard to give yourself a transitionary period between your worries, your responsibilities, your chores, and that relaxing self-care activity. So if you even need to just visualize leaving all of your worries in another room, and then when you close that bathroom door, you're closing those out just for that time period that you are enjoying your self-care activity. And when those thoughts pop into your brain, you're picturing yourself putting them back out into the other room. So you can give your body a little bit of a break that it needs to reset and recharge and feel rejuvenated from that self-care. We also have active self-care versus passive self-care, and we really need both. So active self-care is going to be something that you are physically moving with your body or challenging your mind. So something like exercise or playing a musical instrument, doing some sort of like puzzle that's stimulating for your brain. And then passive self-care would be things like watching a movie, reading a book, taking a bath, getting a massage, or meditation. Those are things where you're sitting a little bit more stagnant and you're just giving your brain and your body a break versus using them for an active self-care activity. So we need both of these things. And a great way to tell which one you're needing is based off of your energy level. So if you're giving a lot of energy to anger, frustration, irritation, anxiety, worry, and your brain is kind of in that overdrive, active self-care is a really great way to give your brain and your body something else to focus on and give it a break from those overthinking or intrusive thoughts. If your brain is just completely wiped out, you're exhausted, you can't concentrate on anything, and you feel like you're just kind of zoning out, then passive self-care is a great activity for when you're in that space. If you want to be in a space for passive self-care, but your brain is in overdrive, try doing something active first and then transitioning into a passive self-care activity so that you can get the benefit from both. Now, a lot of people will say, I don't have time for self-care. And that is probably because you might not have time for these bigger things that we consider self-care, like going to get a massage. That requires time, money, childcare, whatever it might be. But the reality is that self-care can be brief, it can be free, it can be throughout your day. Part of that prevention of stress and worry and anxiety is our self-care. It can even be something that you create a self-care activity through the things that you already have to do during your day. So if you come home from work and you know that you have to wash the dishes because they've been in the sink forever, you've got to fold the laundry, turn that into a self-care activity by setting an intention and saying, look, this laundry has been piling up. It is causing me stress. It is making me feel guilty that I haven't done it, or every time I look at it, it's stressing me out, or creating a negative emotion. Then intentionally say, I am going to fold this laundry and put it away because I know that that is what I need to feel comfortable, relaxed, accomplished, productive. And that in itself is self-care because you are taking care of what you need to do to be able to relax. So a lot of the times what we end up doing is immediately participating in self-care techniques when we have a lot of other things that we need to do. And that is creating that extra layer of distress that otherwise wouldn't be there if we just took care of whatever that task is. If it feels like a huge task that you don't have time to completely finish, you can do something that is really helpful for your brain. Set a timer for 15 minutes and say, okay, I am going to actively work at this task for 15 minutes. And when the timer goes off, I'm going to stop and then I'm going to let myself enjoy some self-care. I'm going to watch a show, or I'm going to meditate or take a bath. And then if you feel like you have another 15 minutes in you, you can set another timer for 15 minutes. You would honestly be so surprised by how much you can get done in just 15 minutes. And sometimes even getting a little bit of that done is a really big energetic motivator to keep going. A lot of the times I'll set that timer, and when it goes off, I'm on a roll. I'm feeling energetic. I'm feeling good about what I'm getting done. And so I will just set it again and go for another 15 minutes. But the point is making sure that you feel that you've accomplished at least a little bit of your task, so that when you do relax after that, you're actually getting a bigger benefit from it, versus trying to start with the self-care activity and sitting there feeling guilty that you're not doing all the chores or household responsibilities that you need to get done. And then you have taken that time, number one, away from the time that you have to get those things done, but also you've tried to utilize it for self-care, but your nervous system is still very alert and activated because you're feeling guilty, you're feeling anxiety about it not getting done. So your body doesn't get that rest. This is also really difficult for us to get healthy sleep after we have not felt like we were productive, or like we have an excess amount of self-care or passive time that we're not engaged for. Your body then just feels kind of restless, and it's not used to completely shutting down, or it's too overstimulated to be able to get deep rest. So even if you're feeling like you don't have a ton of time for self-care, if you do just a few minutes of a breathing exercise or meditation, or even just stretching before you get into bed, and then if you can start your day with that as well, you will have started your day and ended your day with intentional time for yourself. And even 5 minutes of this is so much more beneficial for you than hours of half watching a TV show, half scrolling on your phone, and then feeling guilty about not getting anything done. So self-care is very important, but making sure that you're actually getting quality self-care that your body and your mind benefit from is really key. Thank you for watching this video on self-care, and I will see you next time.